to Art with Miss Kris. This is week 2 of our new school year, and I have a really fun project for you today. We're going to study the artist Pablo Picasso this week, and he is one of my most favorite artists. He does very different and unique art. He was born in 1881. He lived 91 years. He died in 1973. He made art for most his whole life. His first word was pencil. His father was an artist and taught him how to draw. And Picasso, the most beautiful thing about Picasso is that he wasn't just one type of artist. He did so many types of art. He was a painter, he was a sculptor, he made prints, he did ceramics, he did stage design. And throughout his life, he went through different periods of time where he made different types of art. He had a blue period where he was actually kind of sad, and he painted with lots of blues and dark colors. Then he changed his tune, and he had what is called his rose period, where he painted with colors such as rose, magenta, pinks, reds. After that, he developed an art called Cubism. And this is the part of his life that he became most famous for. He was kind of what they call the father of this movement. He broke up art into different shapes and different designs. And we're going to be doing a lot with his Cubism today. He ended his life into what is called his classical stage, where he went back to more traditional types of making art. So we're going to do art like Picasso today. And we're going to be inspired by one of his pieces called Dove. This is Picasso's Dove. And Picasso's Dove is actually used in our time as a symbol of peace. So we're going to be inspired by that beautiful peace bird. Because you know what? These times right now, the word peace is very important to all of us. So let's get started. Actually, before we get started, let me tell you what you're going to need today. You're going to need a pencil. You're going to need a black Sharpie. You're going to need, or if you don't have a black Sharpie, use a black marker. You're going to need a pencil sharpener. Always just have a pencil sharpener when you're making art. And you're going to need markers. These are just some markers I have around. Use any markers that you have. That would be fine. I'm also going to put on the list today a ruler. Any kind of ruler you can have, or straight edge you can find around the house. So let's get started with our beautiful Dove by Pablo Picasso. Alrighty, so in the middle of our art, in the center, we're gonna make this bird of peace. And then all around this bird of peace, we're going to break up our background into different shapes and designs. So let's start with this bird of peace. So in the middle, it's about right here, right? If I point in the middle, I'm gonna go a little bit above the middle right now, and I'm gonna start with the head of my bird. So right here, I'm gonna start with a curve, right? Just a little curve. See how I did that? Because the head of this bird is gonna be kind of tilted, okay? Now I'm gonna come with this curve and I'm gonna go into a beak. I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna make a sharp point. See how I did that? A sharp area right here. That's gonna be my bird's beak. I'm gonna come around from that sharp point. I'm gonna go up because this is gonna be the head of my bird. So you can see how it's kind of tilted. And I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna curve. Inside the beak, I'm gonna make a little area that goes like that. And you can kind of divide it if you want, so you really see the beak of the bird. I'm also gonna create an eye right here, just a nice circle for an eye. So Now we already have the head. Now let's make the wings of our bird of peace. I'm going to start with the wing to the left. So I'm going to follow this curve and I'm going to come out and I'm going to dip down 1. I'm going to come out 2. I'm going to come out 3, and I'm going to loop back around towards the bird. Now I'm going to come on the other side of the bird and I'm going to dip out. I'm going to do the same thing 3 times. I'm going to dip down 1, 2, and actually this one is going to be a little smaller. See this one right here? I'm going to redo that one. That one I made a little too short. And you know what? When you're making art, you're totally going to erase sometimes. That's why I always use an eraser. So I actually want to make that one a little bit taller. Just going to look better. Okay, I'm going to come down towards his body. Alrighty. Easy breezy, right? We did it. So now what we're going to do is create the back of our bird. So I'm going to come right here. I'm going to let this wing come in a little bit, about right here. I'm going to dip down and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to come up. I'm going to stop because now we need to loop back into our bird to complete our bird. So I'm going to come over here towards this side and I'm going to come out and I'm going to come straight down like so. Alrighty, so now I have my bird. Now, after I get the bird done, I want to do something a little fun. You might not see this so much after you create your background. I'm going to put a little something in his mouth. You could put a worm in his mouth. You can put a branch in his mouth. I'm going to create like a little flower. He's got a little something. He's going to take that back and make his nest later. Also, on the Pablo Picasso bird, you will see that Pablo Picasso makes some really kind of fun little flower designs on the bird's wing. So I'm going to do it. Now, Pablo Picasso was very loose and inventive with his art. So I'm going to be a little loose too when I create a few areas where I'm going to put some little flowers, a little design. So I'm just being really loose with it. You can be even more realistic with this and put some nice flower designs in these areas. You don't have to make art just like I do, okay? I just want you to be inspired. You can always put your own kind of art and designs in anything you make. That actually makes it more original. I'm going to come down here, make a couple loose little squiggly flowers, just like Picasso. Alrighty, so now I have my bird. Now it's time to make the background. Now we're going to end up coloring this whole thing in with markers. We're going to leave our bird white, like a white dove. But the background is going to be full of color. You're not going to see any white when you're done with the background. So at this point, I'm going to get a ruler and I'm just going to start. I'm going to leave my bird alone. I don't want to put lines through my bird. See how I did that? Leave that birdie alone. And I'm going to come through the background and I'm going to break the background up into shapes. Now, I don't really have a huge plan right now. I'm just kind of going with it. See how I'm doing that? I'm breaking my background up with shapes going in different directions. So this is kind of like Picasso's cubism, when Picasso breaks his art up into shapes and designs. It's actually pretty fun. I think you're going to enjoy breaking that background up into shapes. Actually, making art with rulers is a ton of fun. All right, let me finish this up and then I'm going to show you what I want you to do next. All right, so I'm gonna finish this by I'm gonna break up this a little bit more and then I'm gonna show you what I want you to do next. Okay, so here we go, and that is broken up and I'm gonna call that good. All right, so now you have a variety of shapes behind your bird and your bird finished. Now the fun part begins. I'm gonna show you, I want you to work on the bird first and then have fun in the background. So I'm gonna get out all my markers. And actually when I did this piece, it took me a good hour, maybe an hour and a half to do it. So this might be something you can do in between your classes, or if you need a break from, say, math or science or whatever you're doing, you need a break. This would be a good piece for you to go in and continue to work on throughout the week. All right, so right now I'm gonna get a blue, I'm gonna get a yellow, and I'm gonna get a red. That's it. Okay, and I'm gonna get my Sharpie, and if you don't have a Sharpie, the black will work. So Picasso's bird or dove has a strong blue outline around it. So I'm gonna do that as well. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna go right over my pencil, and I'm gonna be kind of thick with this. And I'm gonna outline my whole piece, my whole bird in blue. One thing I noticed about these markers, I'm using just Crayola markers. They do smear a little bit, so be careful when you're making your art. I'm gonna make his eye, I'm gonna outline it in blue, okay? The next thing I'm gonna do, this is just what I realized looked really good in this, is I'm going to now go through the outside of the blue with my Sharpie, and I'm gonna give it a strong black outline. I'm gonna thicken some areas up a little thicker. I'm gonna go. So I have blue and then I have a thinner black outline because I really want this bird to stand out. The bird is what I'm gonna call our focal point, meaning the focus is on the bird and then the background just makes the bird more interesting. Alrighty, so there we go. I'm gonna create a Picasso-like, his little squiggly flowers. I'm doing some green stems that he puts here. And I'm gonna use just red and yellows right now for this. I'm gonna do a little yellow on some of my flowers. See how loose I'm being? Totally loose. That's the fun part about this. Squiggly. Never thought I would be one to make squiggly flowers, but when I'm making Picasso type art, I'm just gonna be a little crazy about it. There, I'm gonna call that finished. Oh wait, I forgot my little stem he has in his mouth. I'm gonna give that green too. All right, so I'm gonna show you at this point one that I've already finished. And I'm gonna give you some advice, okay? So here's one that I did. It was so much fun. I did this one earlier. So as you can see, the bird stays white. And the reason for that is because my background is so crazy that I want my bird to stand out. And then what I did with all those shapes, right? All those shapes that I created, I added designs in my shapes, swirls, lines. I put eyeballs in my art because Picasso makes lots of different faces, right? I did a little checkerboard. I made a side of a face. If you like drawing faces, have fun. I put a guitar in it. The background is going to be like whatever you really like to draw. Just have fun in the shapes. Go shape by shape and just accent it. This is kind of like a ladder design. And then after I did that, and I did that with pencil first, then I went and I took that black Sharpie and I outlined all of my lines. As you can see, all the black that I outlined. I took the ruler and I took my black Sharpie for my straight lines and I just went over my pencil. Okay, so you're gonna outline everything. Like, you're gonna go with that ruler and you're gonna outline all those lines. And this would take me forever, so I don't wanna do too much, but I'm gonna show you a couple just to get you started, okay? So you're gonna go back and you're gonna outline everything in black. Then I want you to pick a color scheme. Now, I don't want you to use too many colors. I actually used 5 colors, 4 or 5 colors. I just picked them. So look at the colors you have and pick them. I used orange, I used blue, I used a purple, and I used a yellow. And then I went through my art and I balanced those colors throughout the whole piece. So here's another thing, look, purple, orange, blue, yellow. I didn't put a purple next to a purple because that would be kind of boring. But I put a color like yellow next to the purple, which makes that purple really stand out. So really, when you're doing your background colors, try not to put a color next to the same color. So it becomes kind of like a game. See what I mean? Like, I wouldn't put a blue right here because it would touch this blue. I added purple. So I kind of balanced my colors throughout my whole piece. And I tried so that none of them would touch each other in different boxes. So anyways, I hope you have fun with this. This will take you some time. Be like Picasso, experiment, be an inventor, make your art very unique to you. And please, if you have time, share your art with me on the discussion board. I really enjoy seeing what you're doing. Have a great week, art students. Take care.